It's always a good day when we have a reason to bring on Ken Klippenstein of TYT Investigates, here joining us now to talk about his recently released piece, which you can read on TYT.com, about Nancy Pelosi's Twitter group chats and what they have now revealed about her position on impeachment. Welcome back to the show, Ken.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Not hearing Ken. We could get him. Maybe he might be trolling me. He is kind of a troll. How's it going, Ken? Good to have you back on. So tell me about your most recent story. So Nancy Pelosi recently, she has made pretty clear that she has no interest in pursuing impeachment, but we learned a little bit more thanks to some chat messages, correct?
Yeah, so she runs a number of Twitter group messages with volunteers. They're not paid as far as I know, but she relies on them to, boost out her messaging. She sends out talking points, guidance on, how to handle different kind of political situations. So I think they're important to being a kind of megaphone for her in social media.
And so recently, this group of influencers, or whatever unbearable term is used for them, they were receiving a message from, I think it was Jorge and Nancy Pelosi's team or something like that about impeachment. And how did they characterize the reason that the speaker is not interested in pursuing impeachment of Donald Trump?
Well, what was interesting was people in these groups, which, aren't, doesn't seem to be publicly known, I couldn't find any reporting on it, reached out to me because they were upset about the way that she was handling the impeachment discussion. What's interesting is the folks that reached out to me, and more have reached out to me since the story was published, they weren't even necessarily, really pro-impeachment. They just wanted to have a discussion about it and know, where things stood. And so when the headlines came out last week, where Pelosi was just like, quote, I'm not for impeachment. They're all like, wait, we never, discussed this, or, why isn't she for impeachment? They felt like she didn't give an adequate explanation for that. And then they were told, if you don't agree with her, you can leave. And the people in the group were upset with that because, they're not getting paid to do this. They're, helping her for free. And they, felt like the least that the Pelosi team could do is give them an explanation. And this wasn't some low-level staffer. This is her executive director of Pelosi for Congress and one of her spokespeople. So that was something they were upset about.
Okay, so what's interesting, though, also is you've done some research into the history of Nancy Pelosi and impeachment of different presidents. Should we really be surprised that she doesn't want to pursue it with Donald Trump?
I don't think so. This is almost uncanny how much a deja vu this feels like, because this is exactly not just what she did with the Bush administration, but almost to the same time frame. It was right after, I believe, they won the midterm elections in, I think it was 2006, that she almost immediately said, quote, impeachment is off the table. And, the people, I have my own opinions on this, but the folks that I talked to, they were upset, not necessarily that they weren't pursuing impeachment. They are adults and they understand that when the Republicans control the Senate, that makes it difficult. What they didn't understand is, why would you immediately take it off the table? Why wouldn't you at least use it as a bargaining chip or a political tool? And also, we don't know everything that Mueller knows yet. So how can you say one way or the other, if impeachment is something that can be pursued if we don't even know what exactly Trump has done?
Yeah, and so, look, my next question, this, I guess, is kind of inference or something like that, but I'm trying to make sense of it. To the extent that we can ever know, honestly, why a politician is pursuing something, when they give us mixed messages, she has said that he's not worth it. I don't even really know what that means. In the chat messages, it looks like it's I don't want a wedge to be driven in the Democratic Party. 2020 is too important. There's all these different messages. Based on your research across multiple different ways that she's messaged around this issue, do we have any idea of what the actual core argument against impeachment from her is?
No, it's very schizophrenic, and that's what people were upset about. I want to stress again, these are very pragmatic individuals that reach out to me. These are not far left individuals that want to split the party by any means. They want to have a coherent idea that they can understand and maybe not totally agree with, but say, okay, this is why they're doing it. They haven't been given that. She said she's been all across the board. In the group, they, tried to say what you said, we don't want to split the party. But then she's also said, as the people that I've spoken to told me, the party has drawn attention to these, alleged high crimes. The word treason has been thrown around by a lot of people in the party. And, I'm not commenting on that characterization either way. But when you do that, the base is going to, want an explanation for you about, okay, so what are we going to do in a sort of law in order kind of justice kind of way, like how are they going to handle this? And then when you just say, oh, we don't want to cause internal dissension, that's not going to be an adequate explanation after everything people have seen and been told from the investigation. So she's been kind of across the board about even if she opposes it. She said, I'm not for it, and then she said, well, actually, I'm just not for it now. And I asked our spokesperson, what the conditions would have to be for her to pursue impeachment if any conditions exist, and they just never responded. So it's clear that they're not being forthright on this, and I think that is really the crux of the frustration.
So my final question, I know that you have to protect your sources and you won't actually reveal who it is that gave this to you, but I mean, I have to do some deduction, and it is obviously, these are going to be resistance types, people with big followings online. Could you just blink twice if it was a Krasenstein?
That's a good question. We'll have to see. That'd be quite the civil war. When you lose the Krasensteins, so goes the Krasenstein, so goes so much of the party, right? So I'll have to check with them, but I'll let you know.
Okay, and if you're watching this and you don't know who we're referring to, just look at the replies.
No, you don't need to.
No,
you
don't.
need to.
But if you went to literally anything that either Donald Trump or AOC has tweeted, they will have replied to it. So anyway, Ken, thank you as always for joining us. It's always good to have you on.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.